Hey everyone, welcome to the free Gen AI Bootcamp. My name is Kristi and I am a co-founder and architect of Teach Me AWS, as well as an AWS hero.
Yeah, and I'm Matt Coulter. I'm also a co-founder and architect with Teach Me AWS and an AWS hero.
Today we're going to go through the front end application for a Japanese language learning web app. And I'll be the first to say neither one of us are AI experts, but hopefully we will walk through together some of the popular AI tools that you can utilize to build up your own front end web application.
Yeah, and neither of us speaks Japanese either, so we won't know if the results of this are any good, but we're just going to go with it.
So we'll learn together here today. So up on the screen, you'll see that I have started a Google Doc where we're going to start to build up our front end prompt. So in order to go into these AI applications and to actually build up a web app, you have to tell it exactly what you want it to do. And from experience, we know that Gen AI needs very specific and explicit instructions to do that. So we have our own sort of prompt off to the side to kind of help us along with this, and some strict instructions from Andrew as well for how we want to build this application. So we'll start to build up this prompt together, and then we're going to pass it through two very popular AI services, Lovable and Party Rock. So you may have used these before, heard of them, or tried them out. If not, we'll get a chance to take a look at both services and maybe compare and contrast some of the differences and what you're going to get for a web application.
Yeah, trying not to make jokes about Lovable and the name.
I know it's not a great name. To be fair, though, every time I think of Party Rock, I think of the Party Rock anthem. So also not a great name,
I
but
have that queued up that anytime we do something good, it's just going to kick off.
seriously. So as we said, this is going to be a Japanese language learning web app. So I threw that in there to start. I think one thing that we're going to want to let our AI know is that our actual role in this is our front end developers, because we're going to want to be able to see and kind of edit the code and let the AI know that we have some understanding of some technical things, and so this project brief is going to have a lot of technical details. So if we list our role slash profession, and we're going to put in front end developer.
It doesn't say a good front-end developer.
It does not. So any front end developer works. And of course, it's copy pasting over in white. All right. All right. And then we're going to want to give it a project description and a project brief.
Yes, I did have a conversation with Andrew before we recorded this because otherwise it's going to be a very different project brief than what we would have come up with. We do have some words for this already, but essentially we're trying to build a portal that allows us to launch study activities. Um, yeah, and we're trying to store, group, and explore Japanese vocabulary and review study progress. And the whole thing is going to be a web app that's intended for desktop only, so there's no mobile version of this app. And yeah, for now, that's pretty much what the brief was.
And I fixed a typo already, so we're off to a good start with bringing these in. So hopefully this is a good explanation at a high level for all of us here, as well as for the AI to understand exactly what we're looking to build and accomplish with our web application. And as we started with, we talked about how we want the AI to realize that we're front end developers, and that's kind of the focus of this. So we also want to pass in some technical requirements. And again, this is directly from the project brief of what we want to build today. I will say, even though we don't have much AI experience between the two of us, I believe both of us have used pretty much everything on the technical requirements list. So hopefully we'll be able to take a look at what the AI generates and let you know how good of a job it's done.
Yeah, maybe we should go rogue and say it's not going to be JavaScript, it's going to be Python.
Go off script and put in Python and Flask.
Yeah.
All right, so today we have React.js as our front end library, and then we're going to take advantage of Tailwind CSS for our CSS framework, Vite.js as the local development server, our favorite language TypeScript for programming, and then ShadCN for components. So I think I have used most of these, except maybe the development server. That one's a little new to me.
Yeah, so I've definitely used React and Tailwind, so and TypeScript. Yeah, so in terms of matching up some of the project description with the technical requirements, we're going to need to tell the AI what routes or routes, depending on where you're from, that we want in the UI for people to actually view. Because with these prompts, if you leave it open to interpretation, you don't know what you're going to get. So we're going to need a few. We'll need a dashboard which can summarize, I guess, our learnings, study activities, where it can come through and say, like, these are today's study activities. Words, to talk through the words you already know and some new words. Groups. I'm not sure what the groups page is going to do, but we'll find out later. Sessions, and then settings. That's what Andrew has specified he wants. And he wants the default route to go to the dashboard, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully groups means study groups so that you don't have to learn the Japanese language all on your own here.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it would probably make the most sense. That's what I would do. Trying to read Andrew's mind here. So as you can see, we've already got quite a long prompt just to build up a web application. So maybe if you've kind of been playing around with some of these applications before. I know we were messing around with it a little bit before this too. And I was very simple and straightforward and just said, build me an app to help me cook dinner. And it kind of just went off and did whatever it wanted to do. So this definitely gives quite a lot of instruction, and you want to be very explicit if there is something that you have in mind to build up to, especially with the technical requirements. I think by default they gave us maybe TypeScript on the application we just built. So it really depends. Like if you are dead set on having Python, you probably want to specify that in here. So you can kind of choose your own adventure with these prompts, but the more explicit you make these, the closer you'll get to what the intended use is for your application.
Mm-hmm. So we also need to be quite specific in terms of how people are going to navigate around the app, because we haven't said anything about the state of the UI at this point in time. So we probably need to tell it that we specifically need navigation to exist in the app and what navigation routes we want. And I feel like that's going to directly one-to-one map with the routes that were mentioned before. So dashboard, study activities, words, word groups, sessions, and settings. Hopefully this one should be pretty simple for the AI to be like, yes, that makes sense.
Well, there you go. And there's your groups too. So I would say maybe an enhancement is to allow for study groups for people to work together on your language learning app. So this is why we're explicit, because groups can be up to interpretation. But as we see here, if we give it the navigation, it'll actually title it exactly how we're specifying it too.
And this is why I never try to second guess Andrew.
He's keeping us on our toes over here. Awesome. So what do you think? Should we try this out and then see what it gets us? All right. So we do have quite a lot of other things we can add to this to build up our prompts. But I think instead of watching us build out a Word doc, it might be more interesting to see what our AI services gives us. And then we'll go back and maybe try to add some of these enhancements and see how our AI tools help with that.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to copy and paste this entire prompt that we've put together. And we're going to move into our first application, which is Lovable.
It looks very lovable.
I know. I did expect a heart, so I'm glad that's there. So you can see on this page that it is a very simple UI. Right in here is our little prompt box, and you can actually see some of your previous projects in here. So for instance, as I said, we tried to check this out with creating our own dinner app, since we always go back and forth on exactly what we should cook for dinner every night. And you'll also notice that there's some other options here. So if you have an image that you'd like to upload in here, you can. I also kind of checked out this import, so it lets you bring in images from Figma as well, which is pretty cool. So if you're more kind of graphical or prefer to define your code and application applications more in image format. This is a really great app that would also support that as well. We're a little boring today and we're just doing it through text. You'll also notice over here that anything that you build in this for the free version is going to be public. So keep that in mind as you're building out. If you do want it to be private, you will have to pay for that to unlock some of those features. So could be advantageous for you, or if you're working on a team or something, this might be helpful. But we're going to stick for the free version for now. So you may be able to even find this out there once I create it, to start stealing from it and trying it out. There isn't much to this UI, but you'll actually see this little learn button in the top. And if we open that up, you can see that there is tons of documentation in here.
Yeah, so hopefully you shouldn't need most of this, given the idea is the AI is smart enough that you can communicate back and forward with it. But we don't know yet because we haven't tried it, so.
Yeah, there's some good user guides in here to kind of get started, especially if our overview isn't as helpful as we'd like it to be. You can definitely check it out here. It'll give you some prompt ideas. You'll also see in here that there's some maturity level for the AI, which is pretty cool. So it showcases where the models are at in terms of building. And good thing, because we're building a front-end UI app, and it says it's pretty mature right now. So hopefully it tests out.
I'm a fan that authentication requires some patience, because
Yeah.
that is always true no matter who builds the app.
If the AI can figure this out, then I think we could be out of the job with that, because those user logins are pretty tough to manage and maintain. We know from experience building Teach Me.
Yeah, if you look up Teach Me AWS Cognito, you'll find out.
So there's definitely some great stuff in here. Also, if there's like features, or you're looking for updates, or to connect with other community members, there's spaces for that in here as well. So Lovable's pretty built out as far as AI tools for building web applications, and hopefully this will get you to what you need, and in addition to our kind of walkthrough here today.
And just a quick question, Kristi, because you set up the account for this. You didn't have to give it any card details or anything to get to here?
I did not, no. I was actually able to sign up with my Gmail. I also believe for Lovable, it gave you the option to create your own, or sign up through GitHub as well. So
nice.
If you're looking to take advantage of that, it was a very, very simple 2-click process to set up. Awesome. So I have our prompt hopefully still saved in my clipboard.
Paste it in.
So we're gonna paste it in, and I'm going to check just to make sure that it has everything expected and I didn't miss something. So we probably don't need to say it's a front end prompt.
Do you need to say assuming the role of a web developer? Or?
I think we can try it.
Or I suppose it's already in there like that. Let's just leave it as it is and see what happens.
Yeah, we're testing this out, so we'll see. So hopefully we've got our project description in here. I think it'd probably be better if I actually have formal capitalizations and things in here too, just in case. We are building a language web app to launch our activities, intended for desktop, and then we have our technical requirements we just went through, as well as our routes. And then our navigation. So hopefully it's smart enough to understand these as headers, and take in what I've put in here, but I guess we will find out.
Yeah, let's roll that dice.
So I know that when we did this before, it did take a minute or two just with the regular prompt, so don't be concerned. Obviously it is building a web app behind the scenes, so it is probably going to take us a few minutes to set up a preview and check this out. What I do like is that the chat stays up on the right here, left here, and we can, see, it's building our pages.
It's almost like it's done this before.
Yeah. You know, as someone who's been in React and TypeScript, this actually does look pretty standard for our pages, and how I would set this up.
Yeah, it's got a couple of components and stuff.
Yep.
So. I mean, yeah, we jumped straight into the code here, but should it not have jumped straight to the app?
Well, I think it's still building out. See, it's creating. This is probably because we had said that we were front-end developers, so it's going to show us the code before a preview of an app, which is kind of cool.
Oh, here we go. It was just showing us what it was doing.
Oh, no.
Wah, wah.
No. All right, so.
Welcome to your blank app.
It tried really hard. So let's see. We'll look at what the AI is saying. I will help you create a beautiful and functional Japanese language learning web app. Oh, it actually says where it's pulling from inspiration, which is kind
Hmm.
of cool. So, Duolingo is a popular language learning app. It's pulled up and tried to do the core routing structure, nav bar, dashboard layout, empty design, smooth. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what we asked it to do
Yeah.
in code.
I mean, we didn't specify any of these colors, so it's pretty cool it just came up with a theme.
Yeah, I know I am not very design savvy, so that would be
Hmm.
helpful for me as well.
As long as we don't get sued because it's got a green owl.
Well, it looks like it's trying to show us the index.
Yeah, go to
So if
dashboard.
we try to go to the dashboard view,
Ah,
oh, that's a little disappointing.
is there an
So
error anywhere we can see?
let's see. Edit number one. Well, we can see some of the code it tried to create. So we have our Tailwind config in here. So even though it's not showing us anything, we do still have the code that we can look through, and we've got our layout nav bar. Interesting. It does specify that because we haven't picked out a backend functionality for storing our words, we can connect to Supabase as well. So I wonder if it's
Hmm.
having a hard time without having a backend application. Let's see. Do we have this app? There is some page nav in here as well. Looks like it's attempted to put together our dashboard. Welcome to your Japanese learning journey. Study activities page. So these are very basic, but it's kind
And
of what we said.
this is on GitHub as well, I noticed. So this code exists
Yep.
because it says they're viewed on GitHub.
Yep. So we can check that out as well.
Oh.
Oh, well, I gotta connect to GitHub, so
Oh, it's on someone's
it's on
GitHub.
somebody's GitHub. So it does look like if I had set this account up with my GitHub profile, it'd probably just open it straight there.
Yeah.
But we can connect to it and check it out.
It's just thinking if you had the Git, you could have
Hmm.
cloned it and seen the local errors.
See, this says it's connected. See, maybe I can try to sign in off screen here and see what happens. It is a little interesting that it doesn't tell us exactly what the error is either.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere. Can we just ask it?
Probably. All right. So it's trying to sign me in right now in GitHub, so hopefully we can see the code over there too.
Talking about authentication being hard.
This is why we only share one screen when we're recording. All right, let's see.
Oh, transfer. Yeah, so what's.
And we're going to send it over to mine. Not giving anything away because hopefully you all know my name. And let's see if it's actually in GitHub. All right, so this is great. So if you didn't sign up with your GitHub profile, it's obviously very easy to get this set up for you in GitHub anyway, so we can actually see what it built. So even if it's not going to show us in our little web app over here, we can maybe check it out and see. If it'll tell us what our error is. And while that's going off to do that, we can kind of see some of the structure in here. So it actually does give us a README with
Yeah, git
instructions on how
clone.
to edit.
I mean, yeah, if we had been set up, you could have cloned it,
Yep.
jumped in and tried to run it and seen
Yep.
what happened.
It even took in all of our project details. And we have our source file. So this is largely what you'd expect out of a React application too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'd have to dive into it to be
Mhm.
like what's good and what's bad about how it's laid this out. But if you've never like if you've never created a React app before, I mean, you've got a decent structure set up here.
Yeah, I mean, they have components, pages. This is kind of how I would expect a structure to be, and then names of our different routes. So like if we take a look at our dashboard, I will say one thing it is lacking is tests. We did not ask it to create us
Yeah.
tests.
If there's anything we want AI for, it's
It's testing.
tests. Yes.
So I do know when I usually create like components in like Angular or in React, it'll give you like a couple different files, like your CSS as
Yeah.
well as like your spec file and stuff. So that is a little different coming out of this. So it's not going to work exactly like a create React app would.
Yeah. I'm almost like, because you could use the tests to create the app, if you know what I mean. Like in the
Mm,
ultimate test-driven development, just pass the tests to the AI and
yeah.
say, make these pass with an app.
Yep. You definitely could do that. So let's see. The error code we got was the user attempted to access a non-existent route. Well, that's
Oh,
interesting.
that was the error because you clicked the dashboard one. We need the error before
Mm-hmm.
that.
We've set up the route dashboard in our app TSX. The error suggests there might be an issue with the React import in one of our files. Looking at our code base, I noticed that it's missing the React import since we're using
Let me
JSX.
fix this. Added the React import, build unsuccessful.
Yeah, interesting.
So if you click that build unsuccessful, what happens?
So it's missing some
Type
modules.
declarations?
So what happens if we try to fix this?
Yeah.
Please think step by step in order to resolve it. So we're trying to teach it like a human.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if that works.
Can we just ask it to recursively keep going until it fixes it?
We'll get an infinite loop.
Yeah.
All right, I think there's a limit to the free tier, so I really don't know if I want to test that out.
There's a server just breaks somewhere.
So maybe while this is running and we'll see. Oh, actually,
Oh. Ah.
change is already
It says
applied.
error at the bottom of
Yeah,
the screen.
yeah, change is already applied. Let's see. Because the code changes I suggested were the same as the previous code.
Oh.
Let's see.
So it didn't know how to fix it.
Yeah, I guess not.
So this is the fun thing about AI in that you do actually need to know how to code the thing before you use an AI generator to generate a code base because it's kind of what we've been talking about for years in that before AI we even had quick starter templates where people could come along and like pick a template that someone else has built and rapidly deploy it. And the day one experience of this being able to go, I want an app is awesome. But the day two experience of taking this app and actually keeping it running in production means that you need to understand everything that's inside it. And right now, that's the issue. It's the exact issue we're in right now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean, if we had the actual time to dig into this, we can kind of go step by step through these things and pull this up in our IDE and see what the IDE catches. But it's a great way to get started and set up the project structure that you
Yeah,
need. It's almost like pseudocoding
yeah.
without having a pseudocode.
The question is, for fairness, still lovable. Did we want to like put in Andrew's full prompt and see if it worked?
I think we should try that. So maybe so we've kind of tried to prompt this one. I'm actually curious if we go back into the Lovable app and try it out as a new application
Yeah,
and see what happens. So I think it might be easier to bring it into our prompt first.
exactly.
So let's jump down to navigation and we'll pull up what's remaining. So we've got a bunch of things. So we'll talk a little bit about some of these that we're bringing in as well, just to so we're not totally lost because this is a pretty big copy
Yeah.
paste.
But you'll see none of it because white.
Yeah. I just need to highlight it first. Those that work in dark mode know the struggle.
Oh yeah, I'm
So
surprised this is white background. I just realized your dark mode everything.
I know, new computer. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and I'll do some edits as we go through here just to make sure. So another thing that's key for navigation, breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I mean breadcrumbs are like whenever the sub navigation within an element, so like underneath study activities, what do we want to have? Um, I'm a bit like I don't know what an adventure mud is, but yeah, it's got that. It's got typing tutor, core verbs. I don't know what the third one is, but
Yeah, as we said, we don't know Japanese. So
yeah.
I'm actually surprised how well that copy pasted over. Awesome. So then we have some more explicit detail on our pages. So like our dashboard, so it'll give us a page of the summary of your progress with the last session. We do have an index here. It looks like this is our route page for study activities. I hope Andrew doesn't watch this back and sees me fixing those typos.
Listen, that's just how you spell it in Canada, is what his answer is.
All right, so we've got some cards. Not playing cards. This is
I think that and is also an.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
So these are our cards, so thumbnails, titles, and some buttons. So we're getting a little bit more complicated here with some of our direction, which was why I was curious what it would do if we gave it less first. So they know they need to use a group ID.
You can see it's very specific that it's like, listen, there's not going to be more than 20 study activities. So we're not going for Duolingo levels of success here.
Awesome. So we have a activity showcase page. So this is under study activities. And then we've got more information on what those pages will look like. And since you'll be watching this back, you can definitely pause and take a look at what's written here as well if I'm going too fast. So we'll have some session items, group names, and we know items.
Yeah, then we have a words index, which is the table of words with the following cells. So Japanese, Romaji, English, and then number of correct and number of wrong word review items.
Yep, which is pretty standard for if we're kind of trying to learn a language.
Yep. And then there should only be 50 words displayed at a time because that's all you ever need.
Might be overwhelming if there's any more than that.
Yeah. Obviously need pagination and then make the table sortable.
Oh, we're adding some sorting as well. Yeah. So these are some pretty advanced features, but stuff you probably would want.
I mean, this is a good 9 to 12 months with a developer worth of features.
It really is, yeah. So we're just asking right away to do this. So I guess we can't get mad that it didn't work on the first try. Pagination logic. We've got some word groups. Session index. A settings page. I imagine that it would be kind of cool to add like a profile to this as well.
Well, that's where settings has reset history, so I think settings is like your profile.
Yeah, but to be able to upload like your profile picture,
photo
and a little bio and stuff.
Little flag for what languages you're learning.
So ideas to expand on this for sure. So it looks like this is pretty cleaned up in here. As you can see now with all of that, we're on our 6th page. So let's see how the Lovable prompt engine takes advantage of this and how long it takes to actually go through this. So I'm going to not copy front end prompt this time. And let's create a new one. Very long, but it took all the words in here, so it doesn't look like there's an issue with our length.
And you'll notice it's not. I originally had assumed the prompt would have to be full-blown English, like please could you, like proper grammar, whereas this is a list of stuff, just do it, like minimal English.
That's a good point though, because I actually did notice, and we'll jump over and try out a different AI tool in a second here, but I actually did notice that some of these specify specifically they'll only take English written prompts. So unfortunately, we're actually creating a language prompt. So if you wanted to try out your Japanese to build the prompt, it actually is not going to take it in a lot of these situations.
I do wonder if there's another AI that can translate from your language
just
to
get
English.
Further and further into the AI.
Just keep chaining them.
So we'll let this run for a few minutes because I think this is going to take some time, and we'll see if this actually works this time with the full prompt. So while we're doing that, let's kind of hop over to one of our other services that we'll take advantage of, which is Party Rock. So if you didn't know, Party Rock is AWS's version of their app generation, AI app generation. So this has gotten a lot of hype over the last year or so, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's built on Bedrock, which is one of their models and tools to utilize for AI.
Yeah, and this doesn't require your AWS account details or anything. This is a completely free public preview of what Bedrock does, right?
Yes, and similar to Lovable, I signed up through my Gmail account on this. They do give you the option if you want to set it up with your Amazon account as well, or you can take advantage of, I believe GitHub was the other one on this, or you could just create your own application. So again, very quick two-step process to sign up for this. As you can see, their UI theme is much different. This is definitely I would say Lovable's maybe a little bit more modern looking. So this kind of has a retro vibe to it, which is kind of cool. And similar to, our Lovable application, there's a bunch of different areas here where you can take advantage of.
Yeah, and just it's probably worth pointing out that because this one is like the public preview, like fun, let's go build applications, learn AI. But
Mhm.
AWS also has like a much snazzier looking AI builder inside the AWS console that's probably more comparable to Lovable. But at the end of the day, these are the public tools that don't require other accounts you can use for
Yes.
free.
Exactly. And as you can see here, like it's very similar. Create this, it'll be public. There is a guide here too, so if you want to take advantage of, learning a little bit more about how to get started, it actually gives you really explicit details on how to you build your app. And you'll see here it's powered by Amazon Bedrock, and kind of some tips. So this is where I noticed that earlier, right? Party Rock is intended with use for the English language prompts only. So something to be aware of and to keep an eye on as you're building these applications too.
Yeah, and we have seen one of these apps in the wild because one of the heroes actually built a quiz to ask how well you know the other AWS heroes, and you had to answer 20 random questions on everybody.
We
And
didn't do too well. There's too many of us.
yeah,
It's hard to know that many people across the
yeah,
globe.
we're like, there's others.
So as you can see in here, you'll start with a prompt, and then they're kind of calling our edits like remixing an application. So if you want to change stuff up, you can do that, which is kind of what we were just doing in Lovable too, was
Yeah,
playing around with some things. Or you can just start from scratch. So what we want to do is actually generate our own app. So a little different, it comes with the pop-up. Let's see if my prompt is still in my clipboard here.
yep.
All right. So you can see everything in here too. I'm going to fix the capitalization because I didn't on the Word doc. And you'll see here that like if you need help getting started with something, it'll give you some example prompts that will help come out of the box. So let's run this. And we're really going to test how well my Mac handles building multiple AI
Yeah.
applications at the same time.
And I believe we were told this Party Rock has daily free credits for this, right?
I think that is the case. You may have to check us on that,
Yeah.
but yes. So we'll see. I also tried out an app on this earlier, so we'll see if we'll run into that. And you can kind of see that this is loading a little differently. So similar though, it's going to go through and figure out our routes, our words, our study materials. So while that's building, maybe we can jump over.
Ah.
No. So same thing. It gave us a very similar starting prompt here, but if you look, it's almost like it's like, hey, you've given us a lot of stuff, so we're gonna up our vocab for you
Yeah.
because they're getting really fancy with sophisticated typography, which is kind of cool. So we've got our color palette again. It's trying to do, oh, it's still
Oh,
building stuff. Oh, okay. So this is
it's
taking quite
still
a
broken
while.
though.
Oh, and it gave us some Japanese, which
Nice.
is cool. So you can't tell it stuff in Japanese, but it can tell you things
We
in
don't even know if that is
Japanese. I have
Japanese,
no
let's be honest.
idea. So it looks like we still did have an error here. Very similar,
Yeah, it's the same
actually.
error.
It's the same error with trying to find the modules with type declarations. Um, I can probably try to fix it again, but I have a feeling it's going to do the same thing as last time. Um, But out of curiosity, I bet if I clicked edit code this time, We'll transfer it over into my...
The question is, does it fail or does it overwrite the other one? Does it create a new one?
Yeah. Well, I did create a new prompt, so I am going to guess it's going to create a new repo in my GitHub account. So that's... Oh,
it
look
worked.
at that. It worked that time.
Wow.
Oh, this is really cool. Okay, so as we can see here then, we have, let me make this a little bit bigger.
Let's learn some Japanese.
Yeah, so we've got our dashboard, which we did also say we expected it to land on our dashboard as our homepage. So we've got some high-level title cards, which we also talked about in our prompts. So total words. Let's see, we've got a bunch of our different landing pages. So let's jump over to... well, I don't know if we gave it activities.
I was hoping it was just smart enough to know we'd want some activities.
Okay, so a note taken. It's not going to be smart enough to know that you want activities in here, but it will actually create them. So if you want to build this out even more, add your own activities in here and see what it does. That would actually be another thing. Like, I wonder if we could ask it that. I don't want to mess with it yet.
Yeah, let's not mess with it yet.
Let's not mess with it yet, but...
But yeah, it has put the structure in place at least for if a back end or some other source existed, it could display it.
Yep, and I actually wonder... I would like to see it in code form side by side. Like, it seems like I'd have to actually open this in GitHub to actually see the code.
Because was there not a... What happens if you click add a code in the top?
That's the one that sends me to GitHub.
Oh, it sends okay. But maybe once you tell it your GitHub from that point, GitHub is your only choice.
So here it is. Actually, interestingly enough, and it does look a little bit more put together than... See, this app has quite a lot of config files and kind of some junk maybe, whereas it looks like this one's a little bit more put together. The README is pretty similar, but it is kind of cool. So, like, let's take a look. Look, I'm curious if we're looking at our words page. Words.
Yeah.
There's two of a word and words. Okay.
Yeah, not the same thing.
Yeah, not the same thing. Yeah, so look at that. It did create like a full-blown table with classes.
Yeah.
With alignments.
But I'm like, there's no data sources at the minute, right? It's just
right, because we're also this is just the front end.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There is another video where someone else will be going through a back end app and building that with AI. So I'd be curious how those hook up together. So yes, it is good to recognize that this is just the front end, so it's not pulling in.
Yeah, you still need a developer at this point to turn this into your real app.
It does look pretty though. So previous study sessions, word groups, and our setting options. So I'm curious if we can say, like, maybe add common Japanese to add common English phrases maybe to our English words with their Japanese translations.
And because you know there's Japanese and then there's Romaji.
So add common English words with their Japanese and Romaji translations to our words page.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see if that does anything. So while that's loading, I guess we'll go back over to our Party Rock app and see what Party Rock came up with.
What have we got?
So this layout's a little different. We don't actually have a full-blown chat window. I think it's at the bottom here if you want to...
Yeah, I'm not sure Party Rock does multiple screens. I think this is how its UI always... I mean, from what I've seen anyway, it looks like the UIs are always these boxes.
Yeah, these like cards here.
Yeah.
Oh, and I made the window too big without realizing it's outside of our range. And then you can see that there's like a remix button. So obviously this is public, so I'm sure you could look this up. What you could do is take what I've already created and remix it yourself as well. But yeah, this one's definitely a little less frills. That's probably the good way to put it. So like if you're looking for like more of a single page, like, hey, it's a little more modular.
Because like what happens if you put you know, the top left one's navigation input. Like, what if you put a navigation input in there?
Yeah,
What
see, like
happens?
slash dashboard,
Yeah, what
like it's
happens?
suggested. Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, like, mhm.
We need the other way around. Do you have to click the button? Like, what does the button in the top right of the box do?
It's a
Oh, it
widget.
edits the
They create
widget.
widgets. So here you go. So we can update like our placeholders and stuff in here, or if it
Hmm.
does default value.
Okay, but there's no buttons. So how does that? You know, like,
Mm. Yeah, this is a little different. So it's got a. This is kind of cool though.
oh,
It's like a chat bot for your Japanese studies. So this is definitely different, like different vibe. Like it's more of creating a series of widgets than it is creating like an actual app.
because you don't get the code base out of this, if I
Right.
understand correctly.
Hmm.
Like, Party Rock is always hosted by Party Rock.
Yeah, that's true. So our technical details don't really matter here that
Yeah.
we put in, but just to keep things consistent, I was curious. So you can kind of play around with this. I mean, it might not be the best for the course,
Yeah.
but if you're kind of playing around with some AI tools or want to create your own quiz app, maybe, yeah, maybe that's actually the best use case for this, alongside the course, is like if you want to just create like a flashcard app like you were saying with the hero quiz.
Yeah.
Like, if you give it some data of like common Japanese words or phrases that you want to start learning for the translation, this would be a really cool app to take advantage of to do that, almost like a flashcard study guide.
Yeah.
I do like that there's less errors you have to worry about in this.
Yeah, like this is definitely simplifying it because it's not trying to build a code base, it's building an experience. Definitely
Right.
means you can focus on what experience you want. Like I feel like with this, if we'd given it a much more specific verbose English prompt, we'd have been more likely to get what we expected.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because if we look at like our party rock guide, yeah, you can see what kind of widgets you have available to you. So it'll do image generation, chatbot, and text generation.
Yeah.
So that's what it gave us, which is pretty cool that it understood from that we wanted to learn Japanese. And it said, hey, I think the best way that I have to do that is through a chatbot, which is
Yeah.
neat. So this would be a really cool tool to check out for some of that. But if you are looking for actual code, I think Lovable is going to be where you want to be.
You'll love it more.
All right, let's see. They've updated the words page to include a table with some common Japanese words.
Wow.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we
That
don't
was
know if
neat.
it's right.
Yeah, I have no idea if it's right, but I don't know why it gave us how many were correct and wrong. It just kind of filled it in. But I mean, Konnichiwa, you know that one.
Hmm.
This is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Sayonara is in there. I know that one
Yep,
too.
yep, yep. So
Yeah.
from our very limited knowledge of this, that's pretty cool.
As long as you know exactly what you want, it can produce it for you.
Exactly.
This is the learning I'm taking away.
I'm taking away, if Andrew gives us something to use, we use it.
Yeah, like
And don't try to create our own.
if I want to create an app through AI, I'm going to ask Andrew to write the prompt
Yeah,
first,
that's what I'm
and then
gonna
I'm going to
do.
look good.
I hope he watches this and lets us know, but yeah, I think this is pretty cool. I mean, I wonder, like, I wonder if it has access to, so I'm curious now. It probably doesn't have, oh, see,
Can you
4 minutes ago it updated the words page. So it does actually go back. Yeah, see, here we go.
can you ask it to add tests? Unit tests?
Let's
See,
see.
now that we've
Yeah.
seen it works and it's added words, can we see what happens if you're like, can you add unit tests?
See, I added the please in there.
Yes. So when our AI overlords take over.
Oh, see, I've hit my free messages today. So that's a good test for, that's about the extent of the free tier.
So do you know what I've taken out of this? AI is exactly like every other developer and will do anything to get out of writing tests, including charge more money.
Exactly. It's convenient that when I asked it that, it
Yeah.
didn't want to do it. So you'll notice this is the same, though. You reached your free messaging limit for today.
Yeah.
So we can come back tomorrow and ask it to add unit tests, and hopefully it would. But that does give you a heads up to know, like, if you're using the free tier, maybe use your messaging sparingly, or at least be very effective with what you want to say. Or, $20 a month isn't the end of the world. This is a
No.
free Gen AI bootcamp, so I mean, you could spend the money on some tools, but
The other thing I was thinking is this is connected to your GitHub account, so you
mm,
obviously can generate it with Gen AI, write the test yourself, and save the AI for like something else.
yeah, exactly. Because as we just saw, right, like it actually did go into my GitHub and pull this up. Or you can just jump in here and then switch to GitHub Copilot
Yeah,
and try out Copilot. So you can take advantage of all the AI tools, and you don't have to do it if you don't want
yeah.
to. Awesome. So we've kind of gone through the prompts that we have. There are definitely other AI tools out there that'll build web applications. If you do a quick Google search, you'll find a bunch of them. We were just really interested in trying out Party Rock and Lovable for ourselves. Lovable seems really effective, so I would say give that a shot for sure. Like we said, obviously with all of this, you're going to want basic understanding as a front-end developer too. It's not my area of expertise. I'm more of a serverless person. So for me, building UIs, this is a really cool and powerful tool to be able to take advantage of.
Yeah, I'm just thinking as well, the Lovable app isn't hosted, right? Like in this, it's not that you can add you probably have to pay more if you want to add a URL to it and let people hit it.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there is a level to this of like
That
no
wasn't
matter
the
what,
README.
no matter what, you're still going to have to understand where you're going to host this app.
See?
Okay, so they don't support it. So see, you're still going to have someone who understands whether they're going to use Netlify, Amplify, some other service to deploy this thing. But it's still pretty awesome that it can give you the working code base to start with.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see right here it says you can deploy with just a click using Lovable, which I'm sure is probably another paid for feature.
Yeah,
And then if you want to take advantage of your custom domain, they don't support it yet. So maybe if you want to put in that feature request or plus one it, they'll put more weight into that. But yes, you'll need to set up some of your own infrastructure too to get some of these things working together more seamlessly.
yeah.
But honestly, for starting off with an app, this is pretty powerful. So definitely check this out. Let us know how it goes. Um, yeah, I think that's all we have for you today.
Yeah, just a basic run through of us on our first time trying this out. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. We've tried to make it light, but yeah, reach out if you have any questions.
All right, thanks everyone, and good luck with the rest of the free Gen AI bootcamp.
Thanks.
Thanks.